Week 4 Monday Night Football, we have the Raiders at the Chargers. Last time either of these teams won the division was 2009. Now we've got the Chargers coming off this awesome win against the Chiefs last week, leaving the Chiefs 1-2 for the first time in a very long time. The Raiders had their first 3-0 start since 2002. They're currently one of 5 undefeated teams after these 3 weeks. They just inched out the Dolphins and backup quarterback Jacoby Brissett last week in overtime. Now, for this Monday night game, Chargers are favored by 3. This should be a fantastic game. Over-unders 53 points. So we have plenty of fantasy starters to discuss. Let's get into it here. Derek Carr, QB for the Raiders, playing some of the best football of his career right now. He currently leads all quarterbacks in passing yards with over 1,200 yards, albeit 2 of those games went into overtime, but he was named the AFC Offensive Player of the Month. Do not be scared to plug Derek Carr in your lineup with the way he's been playing. He's looking like an every week start in these good matchups. If you have him, plug him in. Should be a high-scoring game, could be a shootout. On to Justin Herbert. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs last week. This was a narrow victory. You know, the Chargers have had trouble with one-score games in the past, but they pulled this upset. He beat Mahomes in September. No one has done that. Of course, we have him ranked in the top 10 this week. He's an auto start. Herbert had a season-high 125 passer rating last week, 4 touchdown passes. He looked like the quarterback you drafted him to be after a rocky start in those first 2 weeks. He wasn't getting the touchdowns, he's getting the yardage, but of course you're starting him here. Now, it'll be interesting to see if the Raiders defense and Max Crosby can get to the quarterback, can get to Herbert. Crosby leads the league in pressures with 25. He'll give Herbert some trouble, but not enough to bench him, of course. Onto the wide receivers. Carr has been spreading the ball out. In week 1, it was the Darren Waller show with all those targets we saw. But last week, Carr spread the ball out, gave 6 different receivers at least 5 targets. Now, we know Raiders receivers, they're always a toss-up in who to start. I think Edwards, Hunter Renfrow, Henry Ruggs, they're fine flex options. I have them as wide receiver 3s. Worth noting, though, that the Chargers defense is 5th best against fantasy wide receivers. They're 7th in the league in scoring defense, allowing 20 points per game, and also pretty good on passing defense, 202 yards per game allowed. Now, the Raiders defense currently sits at 16th best against fantasy wide receivers. But you aren't sitting this hot Chargers offense. We over here at Footballguys and in-season player projections, we have Mike Williams projected to have the 4th best performance this week over Keenan Allen. Unsurprisingly, Mike Williams has been just a light for the Chargers offense. Wide receiver 2 overall in PPR scoring formats. Keenan Allen, wide receiver 12 overall. He's had over 75 yards each week per game. He's just waiting to get in the end zone. I think we see him get in the end zone this week. Let's move on to running backs. The Raiders are averaging only 91 rushing yards per game on the ground, but the Chargers' glaring weakness on defense is stopping the run. This bodes well for the Raiders running backs. Unfortunately, Josh Jacobs still a little bit banged up. He's questionable. He did participate in practice, but he'll be tested pregame. Hopefully you either already picked Peyton Barber off of waivers, or he's available for you to grab this morning. You want to have that safety net in case Jacobs can't go. Peyton Barber racked up 111 yards and a touchdown in Jacobs' absence last week. Performed well. Of course, you're starting Austin Ekeler. Big my guy for me this season. The Raiders defense isn't much better at stopping the run. Ekeler is the set it and forget it. He's primed for a big night. As for tight ends, Darren Waller, week 1, smashed. He had a down week in weeks 2 and 3, similar stat line, 7 targets, 5 receptions, no more than 65 yards. But you plug him in. You got it. He is a stud. The Chargers give up the 6th most points to tight ends, so Waller should have a nice bounce back week for you now. The Jared Cook for the Chargers, he'd only be an interesting play because of the high over-under, but the Raiders give up the 11th least points to the tight end position. Cook has only had 5 receptions total over his last 2 games. Hopefully you have another option to plug in here. Guys, you got to check out our tools at footballguys.com. You can sync all of your leagues and get advice for each league every single week. I'm going to show you here. This is our matchup dominator. It's going to show you every single league top plays with their floor projections, their upside projections, strength of schedule, you name it. Fantastic tool to look at every single week. Along with the 5-second primer, you can see our expert rankings, consensus lineups, optimize for your highest score, our expert recommended starts and sits, certain players to grab off the waiver wire here if they're available. So much more to help you set the perfect lineup every single week. Please check out all of our tools over at footballguys.com. Good luck this week with your matchups.